Hello once again from the Prim Reaper. I just thought that I would make a quick video today just to share some thoughts that I'd been having this morning. I don't like celebrating days. I feel like it's a silly thing to do. I think this goes back to even in high school when I used to call Valentine's Day Hallmark Day instead. It always struck me as being fake, like a way to convince people to buy themed stuff just for one day that was supposedly dedicated to something. In my mind, if you needed a day to dedicate your attention to something, then your feelings about that thing probably weren't all that strong to begin with. So really, the idea of International Women's Day is a loss to me right from the start. Except to me, this day is even more pointless than a lot of those other specified days because it's not celebrating anything that somebody has done. It's not celebrating a significant relationship or individual or a significant tradition. It's not celebrating an accomplishment. Even Mother's Day is celebrating something that someone has done, though I still stand by the fact that we shouldn't need a specified day to appreciate our mothers, assuming, of course, that they are good mothers worthy of being celebrated in the first place. But International Women's Day, it's nothing. It's a pat yourself on the back day for rolling the dice on which sperm fertilized the egg in the womb and just so happening for that one to select for being a woman. It's funny though how defensive people will get about these days. Like that video that I made last year on this same topic. Because Justin Trudeau's wife had the temerity to want to appreciate her husband that day, so people lost their damn minds over it. You can really contrast this to the lack of interest that people seem to show in International Men's Day. The lack of a Google Doodle, the lack of really anything else changing their labels to mark the occasion. Men rarely, if ever, get celebrated the way that women do for merely existing. In order to be acknowledged, men have to actually accomplish something. So much the better if the thing that they're accomplishing benefits women. But women? Nah, all you have to do is just show up and poof, you're worthy of celebration today. Congratulations, you must be so proud. But I don't feel proud. This kind of inane worship is no better than having a day that celebrates eye color or hair color. I didn't do anything more to accomplish those things than I did my sex as a female, so I don't see why I would take a day to celebrate the latter when I wouldn't take a day to celebrate the former. I don't do the things that I do in my life because I'm a woman. I do them because I try to do my best to do right by others, to celebrate the people that I love and care about, and to try and just make the world a better place than the one that I entered into. So that's the way that I'm going to treat International Women's Day in the future. Not as a day to celebrate my mere existence as a female, but as a day to work extra hard, to make someone's day a little better, to get lots of extra stuff done. And I encourage other women out there to do the same. If you don't feel up to the task and you just want to celebrate your womanhood, go ahead, I guess. I'm not your real dad. I ain't here to tell you how to live your life. But that's how I'm going to do it. Because I know that after a day like that, I'll feel much more likely to deserve a pat on the back than if I just sat around and basked in the glory of me being a woman. But hey, let's not be a Debbie Downer throughout this entire video. In honor of Women's Day, I thought it might be fun for us to go through this lovely little myths and facts about women quiz that I had to do in my class. Fortunately not for marks, because I would have done really bad on it. But let's get on with it.
So I'm just going to run through these first 5 questions real quick because they were actually pretty straightforward. The first one, when most women have children, they quit work and don't re-enter the job market until their children are in school. That one just seemed obviously false to me because I don't think that a lot of women can afford to do that these days, and I don't think that a lot of jobs give that much leave, so that one was just an obvious false for me. The next 2 can basically just be read as a pair because we know that almost half of all marriages end in divorce, and we also know that it's usually women who are initiating those divorces. So that being said, it makes sense that they would then be heading the single-parent families, considering that they're leaving their marriages. So that was just obvious. The next 2 can kind of also be read as a pair because a young woman today can expect to spend an average of 15 years in the paid labor force. Just seemed like a really low number to me, so I obviously went false on that one. And then the second one, in over half of Canadian families, both the husband and the wife work outside the home. That totally makes sense that that would be true, because these days, in order to have any kind of middle-class lifestyle, you kind of obviously have to have both parents working, or both people working in the house. So yeah, that one just seemed obviously true to me. And so I got all of these 5 correct, which, I mean, it stands to reason. They were all pretty obvious questions. These ones weren't the main problem, though. Even when they are employed, women maintain primary responsibility for household work. You mean they have to do the emotional labor?
I have laundry in the dryer that I have to go put away after this, you guys. I have no idea how I'm gonna get through it.
This next one, women spend more time taking care of children than they spend caring for an elderly parent, was a little bit vague, because you can kind of think of it in 2 different ways. Are they talking about number of years, or are they talking about active time? Because I'm pretty sure that most of the time, people who care for children spend a lot more active time caring for them, especially young children, than they would caring for an elderly parent. So I immediately answered this one as true, but it turns out that that was wrong, and apparently they're just going by years. Although I find it hard to believe that people are usually caring for their elderly parents for 18 years. And I also find it strange that they're talking about people caring for their children for only 17 years, especially considering that it's harder and harder for children to get out on their own these days, so a lot more of them are staying at home to live with their parents to save money, so I don't know, that one just seemed kind of weird to me. The next 2 questions I answered true to because it seemed like they were reasonable percentages for both of them. It seemed reasonable that 20% of women might want full-time work, or that 50% of women have poor body image. But it felt a little bit cheap because both of these were actually marked as false, because the percentages were higher. So, I mean, technically, if you think about it, it's not false that 50% of Canadian women have poor body image, because 50% is a number that is included in 90%, so it's not technically false, it's just slightly lower than what the actual number is, so it's just kind of silly, but that might just be me being a pedant, so I'll just move on. 88% of all spousal violence victims were women. Were women. What the hell does that mean? Were women where? Canada? The US? Egypt? When? Is this all past experiences of domestic violence? Is this for a specific year? I don't know, man. There's some discrepancies around how to label this stuff. Even between years in the Canadian statistics, you'll get a very different picture. See, if you look at the Stats Canada 2014 page on family violence, you get, in 2014, equal proportions of men and women reported being victims of spousal violence during the preceding 5 years, 4% respectively. This translated into about 342,000 women and 418,000 men across the provinces. But if you look at the page for partner violence in 2016, you get, of the over 93,000 victims of intimate partner violence reported in 2016, the vast majority, 79%, were women. So there's some weird business going on with that. Either way, neither of these sources went as high as 88%, so I'm gonna go false on this one. Okay, sure, let's go with that. Number 11. Women and men report similar levels of personal stress. Somehow, given all the articles about emotional labor and all the other bitching and complaining about minuscule things, I have a feeling that women are going to report higher levels of personal stress. But hey, I could be wrong. Who called it? I just went ahead and I answered 12 as false right off the get-go because I just assumed it was going to be another one of those gotcha questions where the answer was false because the number is actually higher. And sure enough, I was correct. Number 13. Women still make only 74 cents for every dollar made by a man. We knew this one was coming, didn't we? Well, if we're talking earn less than men, sure, but that's not the word choice that you used here, is it? Incorrect. Most women work in lower paying jobs, have less experience, work fewer hours, and experience discrimination.
Experience discrimination. Very descriptive there, guys. I'm just going to go ahead and link the CONSAD report in the low bar so you guys can go check it out for yourself. As for the rest of us, pro tip, if women work lower paying jobs, have less experience, and work fewer hours, then why in the hell should they earn the same as somebody who is working a higher paying job, has more experience, and works more hours? Logic. You guys should start using it.
Well, we know here that the percentage of women receiving all university degrees is increasing because, as per the second question, women and men receive a comparable number of higher degrees. That's false, because women are actually earning more than men these days. But then you look at the answers here, and all of a sudden, as the degree level increases, the percentage of women receiving degrees is lower. Wait, what? Women earning degrees is lower? My ass! Every source of statistics I've checked says you're wrong, actually. Okay, you know what? I'm not even going to bother with this anymore. I'm going to link the stats in the low bar so that you can see for yourself. Even a quick Google search disproves this nonsense. Number 16. Most women continue to work in traditionally female-dominated occupations. Well, they wouldn't be female-dominated if they weren't dominated by women, now would they? And lastly, number 17. The wage gap is shrinking for professional women. We already talked about this. It's not a wage gap, it's an earnings gap. But of course, why should I be surprised? I already talked about the CONSAD report. Go check it out. So, when all was said and done, I managed a whopping 11 out of 17 on this quiz. Not exactly a fail, but pretty close. But hey, it's kind of hard to do very well on a quiz when the answers are based on flimsy or non-existent evidence to begin with, so I won't take it as a huge blow to my educational ego or anything.
So that's all for this video. I just wanted to put out something real quick just to celebrate the occasion. I'm in the process of working on the next Hijacking of Higher Education video, and it's definitely going to be a long one. In fact, I'll probably have to split it into 2 separate videos just because there's so much content. I'll try and have it out soon. It's just that I've been so busy with classes that I've barely had the time. But hey, with today marking my Get Stuff Done day, I'm going to try and work hard through my course material so that I can work on the script some more tomorrow. So with that being said, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you all in the next one.